How's it going, YouTube? My name is Andrew Abbey, and today I'm going to teach you some basic editing through Lightroom and the best way on how to process your files. So now we're just going to cover the basics of transferring the files to your laptop, import it through Lightroom, and just some basic editing tools. So the first thing that I do is, after taking the pictures, is load them onto my laptop. It just makes the whole process work faster and better and much more accurate. So what I do here is insert your SD card, open the files that you want to transfer over, create a file on your laptop, and then after that you just pretty much transfer it over. Now I've already done this, so then you open Lightroom. Now after you've opened Lightroom, you go into import. As you can see here, you go to your Macintosh HD. If you have a PC, I'm not quite sure how you do that. However, so you go into the users, open your users, and then go to your desktop if you saved it there. I always do it that way. And go to the folder of what you created. In this case, I went to Warburton, which is a place in the north of Victoria, and there was a place called Redwood Forest, and it was an amazing day. A very nice place to take pictures, so definitely recommend it if you're visiting Australia or you're in Victoria. So next thing, you click on the raw file folders. So then you just and then it will automatically just select all the photos and make sure it's on add. So what it will do is add the files to your Lightroom. This way it's just really quick to when it comes to editing. So after that, you go to add and it will load them all up. Now it will take you straight to your library where all your other processing files are, and so you just go click onto your files here, then you go into develop. Once you go into develop, it should take you to the whole series of raw files that you've taken. Now I usually shoot in raw, obviously, because it just retains the information more than JPEGs, even high quality JPEGs. It's just the way to go. Professional photographers usually do that. I don't see a reason why to shoot in JPEG. You cannot really use to the full potential of the editing system if you shoot in JPEG. So even though raw files are much bigger and take much more room, it's definitely the way to go. So let's just start with the selection of these images. So now you can see on the bottom here on Lightroom in the develop area, you can see all the photos that you've sort of taken. Now what I usually do is I edit one and sort of start seeing, okay, yeah, I like that picture or not, and I start giving it a little bit of a start. So I start off with a 1. Some people do it differently, but I start off with a 1. If it comes down to weddings, then I start cutting them through with different selections. So I start with a 1, then a 2, and a 3, and then obviously the ones it's just an easier way to keep track on the images that you want to keep. So in this case, let's just for these purposes, I will select that one, and I will select this one here. Let me start that one. Now you can click 1, or you can actually double click on the image, and if you see around the set flag, you can set a flag or set rating or by color. So I just go by rating and click on the 1 star. It's just easy if you press 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, in my opinion. So that is the best way to do that. And let's just choose one more. I think that's a really cool one. You can probably hear my dog there in the background. So I really like that one, so I will star that one. Now over here at filter, you can see it gives you different options. Now if you want to just see the ones that you've rated in stars, you can click rated, and it will give you here the 3 images that you have actually starred. So next, so basic editing tools. So the first thing I do is I start playing around with this basic set of tools. You can play with your white balance, and you can add some sort of tonality, color tonality, green or magenta into the image. Then you have exposure, which makes it brighter or darker, contrast, self-explanatory. Then you have highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, clarity, vibrance, and saturation. Now, this is the first thing that I do. So it really just goes by the feel of the image that you want to do. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. So what I sort of do is you can play with exposure, that you can see what it does here. So that was too bright. And I think I like that look. You can still see the details of the sun. You can see the lens flare. I'll add a little bit of contrast. Now, my way of editing is usually different every time. I do not edit the same way that I used to. So it changes over time. So photographers evolve, and your way of editing just changes all the time. So it really depends on what you want. So you can see what highlights does. So if you want more sun to be there, then you push up your highlights. A lot of other people do not recommend that, but it's really up to you. You're an artist, and you can decide on what to do. As I said, there's no right or wrong. And then you push your whites, which obviously again tells you that anything that is white would push up or down anything that's bright colored. And then you got your blacks, which will make the trees, in this case the trees, darker or a little bit more visible there. You can also add a little bit of clarity. Let's see what that does. Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. I'll bring that down a little. So then again, look, I don't edit this way, but it's just to show you what it can do. So vibrance just adds, well, the color just makes it a little bit more vibrant, I guess. So so saturation obviously is about the color, so you make it much more greener there, and then you can go black and white. I like to keep it real, not too much. I don't play with the vibrance too much, or even more the saturation. So these are the basic sort of editing tools that I start off with. You also can play with your white balance, so you can make it colder or warmer. So yellow is warmer, and colder means, oh, it looks like winter. That looks like more like winter. The other ones just look like, wow, that's not good. So you can play like it could have been. This is in winter, so you can make it a little bit colder. You can it gives that winterish sort of look or feel, but it's really up to you. So regarding tonalities, so you can make it a little bit magenta, you can put it in there. I'm just going to keep it there, and that is probably warm enough for me, for my opinion. Now I will explain in other videos what the brush and all these other functionalities of Lightroom, trying to make the video short as possible, and I'll cover these one by one. So we can see, so the next thing I can probably show you right now, after doing that is basics editing, is what I usually do is, if I see other photos that are the light, to keep them uniform and to make it all edited the same. So what I do is Command C, which is copy and paste. So I'll just copy paste all that I've done to the image. And then what I've done after is, again, so I just copy that, and you can go to the next image and you can see that, and then I'll just do a paste. So Command V, on PC I think it's Control V, so Command V. I don't like that, so usually it works, but in this case it doesn't. So obviously the highlights are a bit too much. I'll bring that down a little, so that's looking a little, that looks a little bit better. So you can see that there's a bit of a ray of light going down that man-made nest. I'll probably play around with the shadows. You know what? I'll make it a little bit darker because I just wanted the image to be concentrating on what the light is on, which is me. And I want the image to be able to see. I mean, I want people to see that I'm surrounded by nature. So I'll probably play around a little bit with that. Maybe play around with the contrast, make it a little bit darker. You can see that. And let's see, clarity. No, I'll bring that down. Shadows and the vibrance. Let's see what the vibrance does. Now it's too warm for my liking, so I'm just going to bring it down to, there we go. I think that's pretty cool. So see how you can see there that it doesn't always work, but usually it does. If you're shooting on the same type settings, it can save you a lot of work. If you're doing weddings and functions or whatever it is, when you're editing, you can use the sync button or the copy paste. So I will show you that in another video, but for now you know how to transfer files over to your laptop, then open it up through Lightroom, not Facebook, and how to do basic editing on Lightroom. Okay, so thanks guys. If you have any questions, any comments, please put them down in the comments area if you want to learn a little bit more about Lightroom. Thanks.